So I have a couple things to say about the recent controversy with the national anthem, and it might be long, so if you don't want to listen, go for it, but just want to shed some light. I acted with a lot of people on social media, mostly just seeing a bunch of comments about how this is all BS and disrespectful and things to that nature. Firstly, I understand that kneeling can seem disrespectful when the national anthem is playing or when the flag is presented. So on a lot of videos of the Kaepernick situation in the NFL, I have seen a lot of people who are not veterans make claims for them, mostly saying that this is completely disrespectful to veterans and firefighters and police officers and people who serve in the line of duty. So just to preface this, I grew up in a military family. I grew up in a military town, San Antonio, for those of you who are not aware. My father was in the Army, just recently retired. My brother is still currently serving in the Army. My grandfather served in World War II, and I have a bunch of cousins in all branches of the military. Now, I'm a civilian, but I have served active duty members, non-active duty members, veterans, wounded warriors, and the like. I used to work at the San Antonio Military Medical Center, formerly known as the Brooke Army Medical Center, and the Center for the Intrepid. So I've been deeply connected to those of which who have been in the line of duty. I grew up in this environment and worked hand in hand with people who have lost their limbs and laid their lives on the line for our country. I have the utmost respect for military personnel. So I know a lot of people personally who have served or are currently serving, and I know some of them find this gesture offensive, and I also know plenty who find this gesture not offensive. So I've been watching a lot of videos as of late. I've been reading a lot of people's comments, and I in turn have been replying to some of them. And one of the things that have really grinded my gears these past couple days have been people who are not in the service making broad assumptions for veterans, most of which include all veterans find this disrespectful and how could you do this and things to that nature. First of all, you do not serve, so you do not get to be a voice for the military. And furthermore, if you are a part of the service, you do not speak for all service members. You have a right to your own opinion. You are completely valid in your feelings, and that's completely understandable, and I respect that 100%. Do not have the audacity to speak on behalf of people in the military or in the line of duty. And furthermore, if you are part of the line of duty, do not speak on behalf of all the brothers and sisters in your community. So I'm just going to address some of the comments that I've been seeing online. I'm not addressing specific people that I know personally, just people that I've seen commenting on videos, strangers, essentially. To get in the heart of this controversy. So, number one, a lot of people are deflecting from the purpose of this demonstration. Colin Kaepernick, who played for the 49ers, started this demonstration a little over a year ago to raise awareness about systemic racism against people of color and police brutality against people of color, specifically the Black community. As of last week, since the NFL has gotten involved with this demonstration heavily, a lot of people have distorted this message of systemic racism and police brutality against people of color, again, specifically against the Black community, and turn this into a battle about patriotism. People have even distorted this message so much that they now believe that people are just demonstrating to give the middle finger to Trump. I can't speak for athletes or celebrities or their intentions, but given what I have seen on social media coming directly from them, or sound bites, or interviews, or conferences, this has everything to do with what Colin Kaepernick started, which was bringing awareness to the systemic racism and police brutality against people of color. So since I've been roving around on social media, there's a couple points I just want to address to these commenters online about this topic, and I'm just going to start with people who deflect the conversation and say, what about black on black crime? If you were to speak with people of the Black community or engage with them online or even do a simple Google search for that matter, you would see that there are plenty of organizations that do exactly that. They condemn black on black crime. In a way, that point is a deflection from the conversation that's happening. I understand that many people in different communities feel like everybody's equal in the eyes of the law and nobody's denied opportunities. We all have the same opportunity. And to those of you who do feel this way, I strongly encourage you to look for peer-reviewed articles and research, and you might be really surprised about what you find. Discover when you dig just the massive disproportionate rate at which people of color are denied housing, or denied certain health services, or denied job opportunities, or unjustly incarcerated at just abysmal rates. Like, all you have to do is just hunt a little for this information. A lot of people have been conflating socioeconomic status and racial status as the same thing, and they're just not. I mean, they're two wildly different things and two extremely problematic things that we need to address as a country. That's a whole other topic in itself. I just wanted to address it briefly because I've seen people commenting stuff about this online. So, on to the next point. Another deflection that I've been seeing a lot online is like, well, why aren't we caring about vets on the streets? Like, who cares about this kneeling crap? Let's talk about veterans who are homeless. And absolutely, we should, and we can. We can do both at the same time. We have the ability to address multiple things that are wrong with our country. And I don't understand the mentality that we can only be focused on one at a time. Like, that's not how things work. The next point. I'm at a complete loss about how many of these commenters have the audacity to ignore hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of people who share their experiences about police brutality or systemic racism that they face and say, because I don't see it, it just doesn't happen. Like, come on. Don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Like, how can you put your one experience and say to those who have experienced systemic racism, police brutality, the hundreds of thousands, possibly millions, and say, because I don't see it, it just doesn't happen. The entire community, the black community, started a whole movement because this was happening. You talk to any person of the black community, or at least a good chunk of them, and almost every single one of them is gonna say to you, yeah, this shit happens. They're just gonna ignore that, like, and just say that it doesn't exist. Like, that's just so mind-boggling to me. Like, I just don't understand that at all. Oh, you're just being a whiny baby. Like, go to your safe space, you little snowflake. Like, Jesus. Since we're on the topic of police brutality, specifically against the people of color community and blacks, I just want to clarify that people are not just mad about the unjust murders of these community members, but more mad about the fact that the officers involved suffer little, if any, consequences for these actions. It extends beyond the killings of people of these communities. If you're darker complected or you have dark pigmentation, then you're at the mercy of preconceived notions that people have about you. If you're darker complected, you have dark pigmentation, you're way more likely to be racially profiled. I mean, many of these people of these communities are in constant fear for their lives anytime a police officer rolls around because they don't know if they're going to live to see the end of the day. And I find that so problematic. And you should too. I'm Mexican American. I appear white right now, but when I see some sun, I get hella dark. And when I am dark, I'm way more on edge around authority figures because I don't know if they're going to racially discriminate against me or what they're going to do because they have preconceived notions of who I am. Thankfully, I'm a mutt, so I can blend in and out with the white community. And there's a definite difference from when I look white versus when I look Mexican. I mean, that's my own personal experience, and I know so many others who share that same sentiment. And unlike my darker skinned friends, they are not privy to that same privilege. I can get away with things when I'm white, but when I'm Mexican looking, there's no way. And all you have to do is just open your ears and listen to the experiences of people in these communities, and they'll tell you that this is actually going on every single day. Like I said, I know a lot of people feel like this gesture is completely disrespectful for people in the line of duty. And like I said, you're completely valid and your opinion is respected by me. With that being said, I think kneeling is one of the most humbling positions a person can be in. Typically, kneeling's done out of reverence or respect for a certain ideology or symbol or person or whatever it may be. In this particular case, Colin Kaepernick sought the advice of somebody in the military as to what he should do during the anthem, and they suggested that he kneel. Personally, I could think of many other gestures that Colin Kaepernick could have done that would have been way more disrespectful and way more offensive than kneeling. And before he even took the knee, we know for sure that he at least sought the advice of one military service member, probably more that we don't know about, and asked, hey, what can I do to shed some light on this thing that afflicts and plagues my community, and not disrespect people who have laid their lives on the line. Reality is, the flag is a symbol that we attach meaning to, and that meaning is different for every single person in this country. So for those that are criticizing these athletes that are kneeling during the anthem are just projecting what that flag means to them onto these athletes, and not even taking into account what they're demonstrating for. Some other comments that I've been seeing online have been people angry about the fact that these athletes are bringing politics into sports. They just want them to do their jobs. First of all, that doesn't even make sense. They're not playing football during the anthem, so their job's not affected whatsoever by them kneeling. Many people place athletes on pedestals and expect them to be role models for society and role models for our children, and expect them to uphold a certain level of conduct as nationwide icons. The truth of the matter is many of these athletes and many of these celebrities didn't ask for that. That's just what's expected of them because they're at this certain level of media spotlight, or they make this certain amount of money, and do use their platform and general society doesn't agree with it, they are crucified by them. People have shoved them in this position. They have no right to dictate how they act or how they behave or how they use their platform, especially if they're using their First Amendment rights as Americans to express freedom of speech. Especially that they're using their freedom as American citizens and not harming anybody in the process. If they were using this protest to promote hate, to promote violence, to promote oppression, to harm others, then I would absolutely have a different opinion about this. But the truth of the matter is that this whole protest is to promote social change, positive social change, and to better the lives of every single citizen that lives in this country. So some other comments I've seen, some have said, well, what good has come from this demonstration? Well, I'll tell you. Put a spotlight on a certain situation, you bring awareness to it, right? Attention that this demonstration has brought awareness to what Colin Kaepernick started this whole movement for. And with awareness comes action, and with action comes change. We're not going to see this magically change overnight, but with enough time and with enough people caring, there is the potential for good change. Another comment I've been seeing has been, what are these athletes doing outside of the pitch? What are they doing to help inner city kids or black on black crime? I'll start with Colin Kaepernick, who started this whole thing, right? He has donated over $1 million after his contract ended to 24 different charities. NFL players like Michael Bennett from the Seahawks has donated all of his endorsement money to charity. Russell Williams has donated a couple $1 million to children's hospitals. A guy from the Dolphins has donated several $1 million to get kids to school and helped other inner city schools with school supplies and things to that nature. LeBron James has donated $41 million to send kids to school. Stephen Curry has donated $200,000 for Hurricane Harvey relief. Megan Rapinoe, U.S. Women's National Team star, one of the first people to kneel in solidarity with Colin Kaepernick, has donated a percentage of her wage to charity. So people are doing things outside of the pitch or outside of the field. Athletes and celebrities have marched peacefully in protest against Ferguson, Michael Brown, Aaron Gardner, Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland, the list goes on. I mean, people are doing things that are not in media spotlight, and to discount that is just egregious. Their dissent in interviews, conferences, on social media. I mean, there has not been a single soundbite where any of these people who are protesting peacefully, kneeling, have said that they're doing it out of disrespect for veterans and people in the line of duty. They're doing it to put a spotlight and promote social change. Lastly, to the commenters on those videos who say, if you don't like this country, you can leave. It's surprising to some of you, but you can love your country and you can be a patriot and you can have the utmost respect for veterans and people in the line of duty and still point out the flaws in your country, in the system, and want to fix them. The point is putting a spotlight on systemic racism and police brutality against people of color diminish your patriotism or your respect for people who lay their lives on the line for the betterment of this country. Why would we leave this country when we can stand up for what's right and fix the problems in our country, make our home better? Like, that's a true patriot to me. Like, nobody's gonna say, oh, I have a burn in my carpet, so might as well just sell my house and leave. Like, nobody's gonna do that. So that mentality doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, I just really hope people can open their hearts and their minds and really start listening to people of these communities and stop feeling attacked and defensive at every turn anytime somebody brings these topics up, because, you know, we should all want the betterment of everybody in this country, and that's exactly what this protest is intended to do. You know, shed some awareness on things that are happening that are problematic and just wanting to fix them. So that's pretty much it. Thank you for listening.